Hey everybody, what's going on? So in my last video, I did kind of an overview of how I took a $200 investment and turned it into a $6,000 truck. In this video, I'm going to lump in all of my small engine projects together. So this is before I did any of the cars, and this is stuff you can do with a basic socket set, a couple screwdrivers, and just a small space to work. So the first thing I started with was this mini bike. And when I brought it home, it was in this condition. I'll show right here. It was in 100 different pieces. I would have no idea if it ran or not. All I knew was that the engine turned over. It had what seemed to be good compression just by feeling the crank over. And most of the pieces looked like they were there. I had never owned one before. I had no idea what it was missing, if it needed anything. And I paid a little over $100 for this, which is a very reasonable price for something like this. These small engine toys like this usually sell for around $500, I would say, and they're all working great condition. So I took this mini bike home and I completely stripped it down all the way to the frame and repainted it and started putting it back together. So instead of respraying it silver, I actually painted it a sparkle blue to make it stand out just a little bit, which ended up, I think that spray can costed me $4 to $6 at the local hardware store. And then all the plastic pieces that came with it were all really weird green colors, so I painted them all white with a $2 just basic white spray can. And then at the auto parts store, I bought a can of Duplicolor Perfect Match Clear Coat, which I think was also only $6. And I put a new carburetor on it because the one that was in it had rusted pretty badly. So the new carburetor was $15 and it came with a new air filter on it. So I put the new carburetor on, put the engine back together, repainted it, put a couple little lights in it here and there, and lights from the auto parts store only a couple bucks for a pair or four or six or however many you need. And when I was all said and done with it, it ended up looking like this. And this wasn't incredibly hard. I'm not a body professional by any means. Like I don't do any auto body work. I'm never painting all the time. I did this with rattle cans outside a garage just in the summer, and it turned out like this. And I turned around and sold this mini bike for $620, which was a pretty substantial profit. And I only worked on it on weekends and a couple days here and there throughout about a month, just as a secondary side thing. So this isn't something you have to commit full time to. You can do on the side pretty easily. Once I sold that, I bought a two-seater go-kart that was kind of a similar story. The engine wasn't mounted to it, and they weren't sure if the engine ran or not. And it had mismatched tires. So I took the engine, mounted it to the go-kart, hooked the chain up, and after I put gas in it, fired right up. No issues, didn't have to clean anything, didn't have to rebuild anything, didn't have to take anything apart. I just put gas in it and pulled the cord and it turned right on. And I drove it around the neighborhood and put it up for sale. And a lot of them were very similar to this. I found this yellow one here that's next. It didn't have a chain when I bought it, so the engine ran. Chains are about $10 to $20, and you can buy them locally. I think you can get them at Harbor Freight. I know for sure you can get them at Tractor Supply Company and a couple other hardware stores maybe. So you just cut the chain to length, which is pretty easy. And I bought some $10 off-road lights from Amazon and a really, really cheap little motorcycle battery, maybe a moped battery even, and mounted it on there. And the engine does not recharge the battery. And the people that have bought all these know that. They know that they need a small battery charger to recharge it when the battery dies. But it's unbelievable how many people are just blown away when you have a go-kart that has lights on it. Especially when they're buying it for their kids, they feel like their kids are going to be a lot safer, which is a good thing. It's really, really easy, even if you buy, like this one, for example. I bought this go-kart not needing anything. I paid $600 for it. And all I did, I put a $20 light bar on it from Amazon and a $60 battery on it from a local battery store. And I sold that go-kart for $1,000. And just over and over, all these different go-karts that I had, very, very, very similar stories. All these ones that I'm flashing up here, even some of them I've had more than one of the same type. They just need one little thing. And those one little things are usually pretty easy to come by. This last one here that I had, I bought for $800. And it has electric start, it had 2 forward gears instead of 1. The suspension was adjustable front and rear. It was adult sized, so it was the length of a small car. It was almost the length of like a Miata or a smart car. It had seat belts. I put lights on it. It had its own battery. And since it had electric start, it actually had an engine that would recharge the battery, which was just above and beyond for go-karts. I ended up trading this for my Silverado. So that's about all I'm going to mention on this video for all my small engine stuff. There's not really that much more to say because small engines are pretty simple. And a lot of stuff, if you can't figure it out, you think you've tried everything, check forums. Forums are really good to help you out. A lot of people have done this, a very similar thing to this, especially with the go-karts. If you just absolutely cannot figure it out, a brand new 6.5 horsepower Predator engine is barely over $100 at Harbor Freight, and they're very incredibly reliable engines. I've never had any issues with them. A lot of people have not had any issues with them because they're Honda clones. So they're very, very similar to the Honda engine, which costs 6 times more. So you really can't go wrong with one of these projects. Just know what you're looking for when you go to buy, and don't feel like showing up to look at something at somebody else's house means that you have to buy it. You know, you can always walk away and say no. There's no shame in doing that, and it's better to upset somebody that you're probably never going to see again than it is to waste a few $100s and get stuck in this hole and regret ever getting into something like this. So that's going to wrap it up for my first video. My second video is going to start with my vehicle purchases. Some of them are actually going to have their own videos because there's a lot of interesting things that happen with some of these. So thanks for watching. I hope you stick around and watch the next one.